they say sorry. There's just no comment. They went about business as usual. This is a screenshot of a tweet that Rolling Stone posted later that week after the cover had been released. Elysium, a summer movie that flopped, almost had Eminem starring in it. Can you believe that? Well, unfortunately, Rolling Stones fans don't even care. Jay Ravens, if you guys can't read this, says, "Hey guys, excuse my language, who gives a shit? Your magazine cover tells me it's time to unfollow you. Disgusting." Zombie 007 says, "I think if you wanted to do a Boston story, you should have put the cowboy hat on the cover, you stupid Fs." And CJ says, "You guys suck, shame on you. Hashtag boycott Rolling Stones." This is a good example of how conversational marketing, if not employed at all at certain times, we now live in an environment where you cannot say no. You can no longer, as a company or a brand, abstain from this. You have to respond, and you can't act as if this is a good example of the wrong sometimes. Okay, so how can we measure this thing that I'm calling engagement here? I've come up with a very simple ratio. This is just something I made up entirely for this presentation to show you guys. I'm sure someone's already coined the term engagement ratio for some other metric. So what this is number of conversations being had about a particular product or brand. Imagine Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll quantifies just via software how many times they're coming up on the web in conversation, how many people are mentioning them, how many people are talking about Tootsie Roll today. And then you divide it by the number of likes you have on Facebook. Now this is kind of like saying how many fans you have, but how many are really talking about you, how many really matter. We're going to keep going with this. It says, before I show you some more engagement ratios, let me introduce you guys some companies that you probably have heard of. Coca-Cola. 74 million people on Facebook said, "I like Coca-Cola." I like Coca-Cola too. Pepsi. Can't really see it, but a third of the people like that. 25 million. Still nothing to sneeze at. And now this is probably a company you guys haven't heard of, called Back to the Roots. They created a product called Aquafarm, which is a little aquaponic, self-contained, you guys can imagine what it is, fish, plant system. The fish poops and the plants get the nutrients and the plants clean out the water. And so that's what they designed. That's their particular product. And they have about 30,000 likes. Not too bad for a little environmental startup, right? So I did some math. I did a lot of math, actually. This is a fraction of some of the stuff I did, but Coca-Cola, 75 million people said they like it. About 670,000 people are talking about it, which would give them an engagement ratio of 0.008. Pepsi, a third of the likes, when you do the math, is being talked about 3 times as much as Coca-Cola. And Back to the Roots, with its, modest 30,000 likes, actually has mathematically at least a more engaged audience than Pepsi or Coca-Cola, a much more well-known brand. It just kind of goes to show you that massive audiences don't necessarily lead to any type of massive engagement. Anyway, I did more engagement ratios on a lot of other environmental startups and environmentally conscious products that are coming out. And I found a common trend that they all have incredibly high ERs, regardless of how big the company is or even how good the product is. I've seen some fishy products that don't seem to be terribly good, but they have high ERs, which lends itself again to what I'm trying to point out, that the environmentally conscious consumer, that segment is growing enormously, and they are more vocal than any other type of buyer. They're the ones constantly on the web, reviewing products, talking to one another, sharing rumors, inciting things, praising, discussing. And so it's an important thing. This all ties back to entrepreneurial agriculture. That's kind of why we're here. That's the entire point of the program. And the point is that these are things now that an entrepreneur needs to know about his market segment, the environmentally conscious. It's no longer just about geographic demographics or maybe what gender they are, age demographics. It has to do with an engagement demographic. How vocal are the people you're talking to? Because you have to understand how to adapt to that and what to expect to communicate with them. So the last topic I want to talk about is my personal favorite thing in this whole realm of social media. It's quite exciting, as a matter of fact, crowdfunding. Show of hands, who's heard of crowdfunding? Okay, a couple people, but still many people have. What crowdfunding is the definition. I'll elaborate a little more, but crowdfunding, the practice of funding a project or venture by raising many small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. It's a little confusing there. I'll try and demonstrate it simply if I can. What crowdfunding is, it's if you have an idea, you have some type of product that you want to bring to market, but you have no such money to do it. And you don't want to sell your soul to an investor who's going to take all your equity. So let's say I have this chapstick, and I want to create chapstick that you only use once a day, and it just stays there forever. I have the formula, but I don't have the funds to bring it to market. I would post this on a crowdfunding website. People view these crowdfunding websites, and what they do is they view your product and your potential idea, and if they like it, they do microtransactions where they'll fund you maybe $20. They'll say, I want to see this happen. And eventually, with the power of the internet and the fact that there are so many people out there, ventures are actually being funded by these microtransactions. And you're saying, okay, I kind of get it. And it seems like a little bit of a gimmick, make your chapstick, that's fine. But I'm going to hopefully show you guys some examples that can kind of convince you that it is a bigger thing and it is growing. This is a screenshot from a website called Kickstarter.com. Kickstarter.com is a very well-known and probably the most popular crowdfunding site on the web today. And Pebble, a company, Pebble, they envisioned an electronic watch that connects to your iPhone or your Android and displays relevant information from your phone. Not something uncommon. I'm sure you have recently seen the Samsung commercials that are kind of going all over the place. Well, the cool thing about this is this came out in April 2012, a while ago. This is a great example of young entrepreneurs, young people with ideas trying to beat the market. The oligopolies that control certain industries don't always react as fast as they ought to. And when people see demand, crowdfunding gives them an opportunity, at least a shot to get their idea big. And this is an amazing example of it. You can see right here, Pebble, these watches, they asked for $100,000. They said, we need $100,000 to create the molds for our product, to get out the first product line of it, and to distribute it to people. They ended up attracting 70,000 people who thought it was a great idea and raising $10 million. They have 100% equity in their company, and they are now completely funded. I can only imagine how many orders they have to go through. And this is a year prior to when the conventional market was able to bring this product and fulfill this demand. Another good example, this is one of my favorites. Amanda Palmer, she is a musician. She is the lead singer in the Grand Theft Orchestra, and she's known as a musician to be highly energetic, extremely engaged with her fans. She tweets constantly at them. She's often found couch surfing with all of her fans. She'll just post on Twitter, I need a place to crash today in Boston, and a random fan will allow her to sleep there. She's extremely engaged with her fan base, very trusting, and she's a cool performer. You actually ought to listen to her music. But anyway, she was dropped from her record label. Album didn't sell enough. And so she wanted to continue making music, and so she took it to crowdfunding and said, help me out, fans, help me out. I need money. I want to make music for you guys. I don't want to stop this. And so she put herself out here as one of the first musicians to ever use crowdfunding as a way of potentially generating revenue. She asked for $100,000, and her fans backed her to the tune of $1.2 million. It's quite an amazing story. She keeps all the rights to all of her songs, and she was able to record all the music that she needed to. Her story is actually much more in depth and quite interesting. She was actually given a TED Talk on this exact topic, crowdfunding, and how she was able to make her album happen. I definitely recommend that you guys see it. Keep going. So what's in it for the agricultural entrepreneur, right? These are all kind of cool ideas, but what if I don't have the next iWatch? That's not my alley. Well, it's good to show that these crowdfunding ideas aren't just enormous and grand. Hydro to Table, hydroponic systems for community gardens, this is simply someone in his neighborhood, do-it-yourselfer, I imagine, wanted to put together a little community garden for him and his neighbors. And he just appealed to the internet and said, guys, I need $500 to put this together. I don't have it. Can you help me out? And you got to wonder, why are people donating? There is kind of, what's the incentive? Or what's in it for me? Why are all these microtransactions going on? And if you have that question, you're not alone. As a matter of fact, there is no exact answer. My answer for why people donate to these things is, I guess, we just want to believe in things. We kind of want to push like-minded things, and if we believe in something, we want to support it, regardless of if we can really enjoy the benefits of it or not. Virginia Sustainability Agricultural Documentary Project. This man lives in Virginia, and he saw the sustainable agricultural scene, and he saw that they need to get more exposure. He wanted to make a documentary on it. He asked people for $5,500. He said, I need money for equipment. I need money for lodging. I need money to fund this project. It has to exist. It needs to be documented. It deserves to be documented. And he put his case on Kickstarter to get crowdfunded. And guess what? People heard his message. People believed. People gave him the money. Again, there's no transactions going on where anyone's receiving any type of benefit. This is just this guy making his documentary, people believing in him, and people being able to bring this to market. That otherwise there would have been no other medium or avenue for him to do this. Lastly, this is our friend that we saw earlier, actually, from Back to Roots. Back to Roots began as a Kickstarter crowdfunded project. Home aquaponics kit. It didn't even have a name at the time, I guess. Self-cleaning fish tank that grows food. They posted this on Kickstarter, not sure what they wanted to do. They had a design, they had a prototype, they posted on the website and said, this is our vision, this is what we believe in, we need $100,000. They were back to $250,000. Again, these enormous overshoots of the goals themselves, I think is also a testament to the engagement of environmentally conscious consumers. Most environmentally conscious consumers want to see more products out there regarding saving the environment, regarding having a low footprint. They want to see more of that erupting, and so we're at a very special time where this market segmentation is just arriving, and we can take advantage of it if you're a smart and aware entrepreneur. We'll continue. And so that's the conclusion of my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Real quick before I end it, though, I do want to just say one more thing. Consider yourself informed and aware now just of what's going on, how the social media and marketing landscape is slightly changing, and how hopefully one day we won't have to worry about commercials and such interrupting us, because marketers will be so sophisticated and well enough to really just show us what we want to see and when we want to see it, as opposed to interrupting us. I want to change the stereotype that marketers are people who create the late night infomercials and throw trash at you or create mass appeal garbage. I hate that marketer stereotype. That's not what it's about. It's more about honestly connecting people with their passions, creating connections between brands and people's interests, genuinely, sincerely. And that's kind of the image I want to create for the second generation of marketers as we harness more of the social media. So I think that's great. I'm confident in marketing, but I'm more confident in the agricultural entrepreneur. I can't remember the right. I'm more confident in them. At our hands right now, as I've said, is a growing, highly enthusiastic customer segment that wants to see us succeed. There are people out there who want entrepreneurs, agricultural entrepreneurs, to come out and make waves, make changes, ask them to buy things. Environmentalists want to see this happen. And so it's a thing we ought not to be scared of. We shouldn't be scared of the bar being too high. And just don't forget, you can't not engage in the conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you. You good?
We are running short of time. I think we will have enough time to interact with you after
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Over. People can have